Want to know a little more about that sport? Take a look in the spotlight.
Ever wanted to have a crack at a martial art? Well, our next three hotshots have been doing Wing Chun Kung Fu and reckon it's great. Let's go take a look.
In actual fact, the term Kung Fu that everybody uses is just a generic term for martial arts generally. It's actually pronounced Kung Fu in Chinese. What we practice is a system called Wing Chun, which is specifically a southern Chinese martial art, which has a history of about 200 years or less, and was supposedly the invention of a couple of women back in those days. So it uses a lot of more skill and intelligence than brute force and sheer strength.
David Peterson teaches Wing Chun. You may have heard of it. Bruce Lee made it famous. In fact, he and David had the same teacher.
And so our basic systems are the same systems. And Bruce Lee's teacher in Hong Kong, Wong Sin Leung, is the man that I've been studying under for the last 12 years. My training in Wing Chun and other Chinese martial arts goes back about 22 years now, but I consider the best training I've done is the last 12 or 13 years since I've been travelling backwards and forwards to Hong Kong to be with Master Wong.
Mark, Chun and Nick are three of David's students, and they love Wing Chun, even if it does get a bit tough at times.
The thing I like about this style more than other styles is probably its practicality and the fact that it's not an easy or difficult style to learn if you've got an open mind, and that it suited me.
After a long period of time, you get used to it. You won't really get tired that much.
These guys train hard. They have to. There's a lot to learn. When they're not dodging kicks and punches, they're listening to David explain exactly why they're doing them that way.
A lot of martial arts have a focus point that they always want to hit. They want to be the perfect distance to do that hit. In real combat, you can't rely on that because your opponent's constantly moving, same as you are. So instead of working on one point, we just travel the full distance in a relaxed fashion so you can create power at any point along the way. And that being the case, it also means if you have to change your attack to a defense, you should be able to. So this part of the drill will test that, because what we'll invite our people to do, our partners, is to try to attack us in the same way, and by touch reflex alone, try to defend against it. So if Nicole's attacking during the exercise, she can try to move in at any time with an attack, and I should be able to counter that straight away. Based purely on what I'm feeling on my arms, with a little bit of help from what my eyes can pick up along the way.
I do find the training hard, partly because I'm so young compared to the rest of the class, and there are a lot of big people in here. If you look around tonight, you would have seen some really tall, over 6 foot, big heavy people, so they push me along.
We like to consider Wing Chun as a combat skill rather than as a sport, because as soon as you put rules on me, it takes away some of the best techniques for street survival. So we like to consider this as mainly the people practicing it are doing it for combat efficiency. And its main premise is to always attack by the shortest line and the closest target with the closest available weapon. So we're not into fancy, fantastic looking techniques. We're more into something that will get you as quickly as possible and do a lot of work without much effort. It's not hard blocking, it's just deflection. Eventually your hand starts to find its own way to the target. This time we build on that, so we deliberately make our way in. So if someone's hand is acting as a barrier, we get it out of the way.
As with so many martial arts, Wing Chun relies on brains more than brawn.
I think there is a lot of thinking involved. I think that you have to be shrewd about how you move and how you use your techniques, particularly when you're training against bigger opponents. You have to outthink them as much as outmaneuver them with your actual techniques. Obviously my physical strength isn't going to be able to bowl particularly a lot of the larger members over.
How long is your warm-up before class?
Our warm-up's probably only really about 5 or 10 minutes of just gentle stretching and limbering up of that kind. Then we get into what we call basics, where we train things at various combinations or individually at various paces, and that contributes to the warming up process, before we then go into partner drills, which is a real important part of training. 18, 19, 20, 21, One.
Every student has his or her own reason for taking up Wing Chun.
The thing I like about this style more than other styles is its practicality and the fact that it's not an easy or difficult style to learn if you've got an open mind.
It's just something that interests me, some fitness exercise, and a practical approach to fighting, I guess.
Does it help your self-esteem?
In many ways it does, only I'd like to think that I still don't walk around head up high.
Quiz time again, Hot Shots. Which Wimbledon court is the ladies' singles final played on? The answer soon on Hot Shots.
After the break, Hot Shots, the latest sports news. And later in the show, we profile a world champion.
See if I can. I don't know whether I can. I just have to keep trying. It's going to be tough.